Life is a garden, and we are all gardeners. We plant seeds, we pull weeds, we have boundaries, and different gardeners plant different kinds of seeds. I feel like, and I've talked about this before, there's outer garden and there's inner garden. Today, I'm talking with my friend Michelle, and we are going to be talking about what kind of seeds she's planting. But today's garden talk is more of an inner gardener than an outer gardener. So I'm going to let Michelle tell her story, and then we'll get down with some questions and answers. And it's a really interesting topic that we're here today to talk about. And I'm going to let her tell her story, but I'm going to call it Planting Seeds of Intuition. Okay, Michelle, how'd you get there?
Thank you. So how did it happen? So basically, I was at a time in my life that things weren't really going smoothly, okay? Like there were a lot of obstacles, challenges, and I, at the time, as a Capricorn, and you know what
Fellow
that means.
Capricorns.
I used to think that I needed to figure it out on my own, but I wasn't getting any answers. So I was like,
what is it?
Figure out how to get out of a challenge, figure out how to solve a certain issue, okay? So there was a lot going on at that time in my life, and I felt like desperate to get answers. And it was the only time in my life that I was actually desperate. Before that, I was figuring everything out, trying to at least.
So do you think you hit a roadblock, or just life was a roadblock?
So many areas in my life were roadblocks, and I was in a job that I felt frustrated in because I felt like I was here to do more than what I was doing. And I just felt like there was so much more to life than what was happening at that moment. So because of this desperation or this feeling of like, I don't know what to do next, I, for the first time in my life, begged the universe for help, which I'd never done before. I was embarrassed to do that kind of thing. I was like, that's not me. Who needs to...
But you've been a believer.
Yes. I was a believer, but still, even then, I was like, well, who's really out there to help me? Like, how am I going to get help from another source, right? Unless I go to therapy. It's a different kind of help.
Right.
So, anyways, I got to the point that I was like, I begged for help. And I was quiet enough to listen. And that was the shift for me. And that night, I remember I was trying to go to bed. I couldn't fall asleep. Everything felt like so chaotic. And I was sitting and crying, begging the universe for an answer in at least one of the areas of my life that felt blocked. And that night, I saw my spiritual teacher. He appeared in my bedroom.
Wow. Were you asleep or awake?
No, I was awake. I was trying to fall asleep. You know, when you're like in alpha state.
Right.
And then he appeared. I see him right there at the foot of my bed. I see Jason, my husband, sleeping to my left. And I'm like, am I actually seeing this? Like, oh my God. So I see him right before me. And
was he a person?
Yeah.
In an outfit,
he looked,
like dress?
Yeah. He looked totally like how I'm seeing you.
And you'd never seen him before?
Not after he'd passed away. So, no.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, but you knew him?
Yeah, it was the Rob, actually.
He came to your bed?
He came to my bedroom. Yeah. So,
wow.
He appears right...
So wait, I want to say
okay.
that Rav is the man who is in charge of the Kabbalah Center, who started, and I know Michelle through Kabbalah. So the Rav is like the man, came to your room.
He came, yeah, it was such an insane experience.
So wait, did you have an experience? Did you have a relationship with him before?
I did.
Okay, so you knew him.
Yeah,
he knew you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So when he appeared, I'm like, holy cow, like, what is this? So then I was like doubting myself whether I was actually seeing him. And he said, no, you're seeing me. And we're having a conversation. And he's answering all my questions. He knew exactly what I'd begged for. And he said, if you do this, then this will be resolved. And if you do that, then that will be resolved. And gave me all the answers I could have possibly asked for. So that was the first experience that I had. And I was like, holy.
But when you were begging the universe, were you talking to him?
I actually, yes, I was as well, because I had a photo of him and I was like, listen, if you can hear me.
Oh, so you were.
Yes.
Okay. Because I want to ask you what it sounds like to beg the universe. Like, if somebody wants to beg the universe, what do they say?
Like, just surrender. Just first quiet your mind. You have to quiet the mind. You have to be open to receiving an answer. You can only be guided so long as you're guidable.
Right.
So,
okay, so go ahead.
and because I wasn't at that point that I felt like I could answer my own questions, I was like a blank slate. Like I could receive anything. So we had this experience. It was incredible. It felt like it was an insane experience. It was like I'd seen the light, right? Like I'm like, woo.
Literally.
Yeah. So the next day I tell Jason, and he was like, what? This is insane. I was like, I need to have this experience again. It was so magical. And I have so many questions that how cool would it be to be able to access this wisdom like whenever I want it? So I had another similar experience.
How long?
A month later, and the Rav appeared in a helicopter in our bedroom. And he said, I'm just going from building to building, checking up on people, just checking that you're okay. And I remember telling Jason the next day, and he was like, people are going to think that's a little weird. And I mean, even I thought it was weird. Like I couldn't see who was in the helicopter, but I knew.
Right.
It's like this knowing. I just knew that it was him. I heard his voice. And 2 days later, I got confirmation that it was actually him because his son, Michael, was at Shabbat. And in his speech on Saturday morning, he said last night, which was the 2 nights after I'd had this vision, he said, my father came to me in a dream and he was in a helicopter.
Oh, shush.
Yes.
Did you hear him say that?
Yeah. And he said, and he was going from building to building, checking up on people. So it was then that I knew. I got goosebumps. I mean, seriously. Yeah. So Jason came running to me saying, did you hear that? And I was like, I told you. I started hitting him. I was like, I told you. I was like, now I knew. But now I knew. Like, now I was like,
confirmed.
Okay, confirmed. Something's going on here.
Oh my God, Michelle.
Yes. And then shortly after that, I started to hear voices in my left ear that I thought were my own thoughts. I didn't know at the time. And it was too much for me.
So was it like your voice?
It sounded like my voice. And I would meet random people on the street. Not random, but whatever. People I didn't really know. And in conversation, they'd be like, oh my God, how do you know that about me? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just thought it. And I realized then that I was receiving information. It was really uncomfortable at the beginning because I was not aware of what it was. And I just thought that I was having endless thoughts. But really I was receiving all this information about people and their blockages. And
so how did you put that together? Like, this isn't thoughts, this is...
Well, it took me a while. I thought I was schizophrenic.
Completely.
At the beginning. I was like, something is seriously wrong with me. And then it started to make me uncomfortable when people were like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. What do I know? Because I really wasn't aware. So, what was your question again?
My question is, what happened between the time? Like the time, and I also want to ask this too. So the first time he came to you, that month between, did life change? Or
it did. Like I felt like I started to move in a direction to take me out of my chaos. So yes, because I got all the answers of what to do and how to do it. And
in that 1 month before the second helicopter, before the helicopter pulled up.
Before the helicopter. Things started to move. Miracles started to happen. Like I was in my flow again. And that was the the thing is before everything felt stuck in every direction. So things started to flow again because I started to like move with the guidance of the universe as opposed to what I thought I needed to do.
Right. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
So is he still coming?
I talk to him all the time, but not in that way. So every time I do a reading or a session, I actually have a picture of him.
Oh, so he comes in with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so where'd you go after that second? I mean, like, how did it happen after that?
Okay, so after that, I confided in one friend, and I told
Besides
her.
Jason.
Besides Jason. And I said, listen, something's wrong with me. I know things about people. I don't want to know these things. I want this to turn off. I don't want this. I think I'm schizophrenic. She was like, no, I don't think you're schizophrenic. I think your third eye's open. I was like, huh? Like, I didn't even think about that. And she said, you should go see a tarot card reader and get a reading with her. And if she says that you can see, ask her to teach you. And I was like, okay. I was very open. So I went to the tarot card reader. First card that I pick is the seer card. And she said, did you know that you came here to channel for people? You see, you have this gift of seeing. And I was like, okay, great. Can you teach me? And she said, no, I don't see. I said, well, now what? And she was like, what did she say? Oh, she was like, but we can ask the cards when you'll meet your teacher. So I said, okay. So let's ask the cards. I mean, the whole thing. And
were you a believer in the cards, or you're just like, I'll do anything to figure it out?
I mean, I was to a degree. I thought it was a little bit much. I was. I mean, I used to always go to intuitives.
I mean, you are a student of Kabbalah. There's a lot of that, you know.
Yeah. So anyway, so I picked the cards. She says, you're going to meet your teacher in the month of March. It was January. So she said, the month of March, you're going to meet your teacher. She's coming from a foreign land. So I was like, okay. I was just taking it with a pinch of salt. I wasn't really, whatever. So January passes, February passes. We're now in March. I haven't met anyone. I've kind of forgotten about it. And I'm like, is this even...
Whatever.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. Exactly. So March comes. It's the very last day of March. I'm not joking. It's the last day of March. And Jason had found a healer in Argentina to do some remote healing work for his brother. He's on the phone with the healer for the first time. He's in the car. He comes to pick me up. I get in the car.
See that he's on the phone.
Yeah, I can hear because it was on speakerphone. And so I press mute. I'm like, who are you on the phone with? He's like, I'm on the phone with a healer. And I was like, watch this space. She's my teacher. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you'll see. Take her off of mute. She stops talking to him about anything to do with his brother and healing and anything. She says, who just got in your car with big brown eyes? So now I'm like freaking out. Yeah. And
oh my God.
And so he says, oh, my wife just got in the car. Her name's Michelle, blah, blah, blah. And the woman says, I must meet you. I'm coming to LA next week. Nothing. She says, I'm coming to LA next week from Argentina, and I need to meet you. So I was like, okay, sure. I mean, I knew. And so then, again, I pressed mute, and I'm like, you see, I told you. I got so excited because I was like, oh my God, this is the last day of March, and here I am meeting this person.
Crazy.
Yes. So a week later, we set up this coffee date. I go to meet her. She's bawling. And I'm Capricorn and very uncomfortable with her tears. And she's like, oh my God. My guides told me that I needed to come to LA to meet somebody. And now I know that person is you. So I'm like, me? I was like, she goes, they talk to you all the time. I said, who's they? What are you talking about? And she said, your guides are talking to you all the time.
You knew that.
Well, I didn't know. No, actually, at that point, I said, nobody's talking. No, people don't talk to me. She said, the voices in your ear. I said, oh, yeah. And she said, I have been instructed that I need to teach you everything I know,
Oh,
and you can learn how to manage those voices. And that was it. And that's how it started.
so she is your teacher.
Well, she kind of disappeared, but yes.
She did what she came
She
for,
did
though.
what she came for, yeah.
So when was that? How long ago?
That was like 11, 12 years ago, something like that.
And so, what are you now? What changed in you? What did she do for you?
So at the time, she taught me how to, she was like Mr. Miyagi. She was my wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. So she taught me how to quiet the mind. She taught me to get my ego out of the way, because she would just give me names of people that she knew, and she would be like, tell me about
George.
this person, Alejandra Gomez. And I'm like, well, you want me to tell you this out loud? And she's like, enough with your ego. Tell me what you see. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. But anyways, I would tell her whatever was coming to my mind.
And they were spot on.
Yes. And she was always saying, yes, oh my God, yes, yes. But at the time, I didn't believe that I had a gift still. Even after working with her for like 8-9 months, I still didn't have that confidence that what I was getting was real, because it really felt like I was imagining all of it. And that actually is what intuition is. It feels like a part of your imagination. And I feel like if people would know to trust that and feel it in their body, where they're getting it and how, and know how they're receiving their information, that would be an amazing step in getting your own personal guidance.
So did you started trusting it, or?
It took a while. I mean, I actually did a session for a friend, just for fun. She came over and I was like, you want to do like practice with me? And I didn't even know what I was practicing. And so we did this session, and I connected with both her parents who had passed away. And after that, I mean, it was a crazy session. Like, it was mind-blowing for her and mind-blowing for me, because I didn't think that I didn't know that I had that gift, really. And she went and told 10 people, and that's how it all started. I fell into it. Wow. And it just was word of mouth ever since then.
So are you still getting voices in your head, or only when somebody's asking?
Now only during a session, because I learned how to.
I was just going to say, because you know how to do that.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is so
Yeah.
good, Michelle. So is that a thing that all of us can learn how to do? Are we all intuitives, or is your gift something really rare?
I'm really special. No, just kidding.
Besides that.
No, we all have it. Like, we absolutely all have it. But the issue is that the older we get, the more of our ego or brain gets in the way, and we can't hear it. I feel like when we're, kids that are 2, 3, 4, 5, they are so intuitive and so tapped in because they're not thinking. In fact, one of the ways that you can learn to be intuitive is through connecting to your inner child and dancing and singing and being kind of fun. And because that connects you to that vibration.
I love that.
And kids are connected to that vibration. And then, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to know, do you think you had that as a child? Looking back now, could you think of like maybe that was the real thing and it was there?
Yeah, for sure I had it as a child. When I was 8 years old, actually one of my class presentations or talks, whatever that I had to do, everybody was talking about their vacations, and I got up and talked about astral projection at age 8. Yes.
What exactly is astral projection?
When you leave your body, you can see.
Is that what you talked about?
Yes.
So
all the kids were like,
you a weird kid?
I mean, I was a little bit.
You're too good.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so
Yeah.
good. So I too, my parents used to call me a witch, and I never liked it. My sister thinks I ran from it because a witch sounds like, ha!
Yeah, exactly.
But they always called me a witch because I knew. And I think back now, and I knew all my parents' friends. I knew who was in trouble with a marriage. I knew my parents. I felt like, and I never did anything with that. But I do know what you mean. There is something in there. I've never really worked on it to do that. But I just wonder, like, do you think any of your children have that? Or do they all have that and you're going to teach them how?
No, they do have it. I know for a fact. They
And
do
are you
have it.
honing in on that or no?
Oh yeah, totally. I always ask them, like, if they ask me a question, I don't ever want to answer it for them. I always tell them, like, what do your angels say?
So good.
Listen to your angels. Like, I try to, guide them in a way that they can receive their own guidance.
So is that who's talking to you, angels?
Well, angels, loved ones,
Are
the
loved
Rav.
ones angels? Is the Rav an angel?
I would say he's a
I
very,
would,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
Me too. I mean, if they're coming through, they're kind of angels, right? Yeah. Wow. Are you? Do you have an intuitive? I mean, are you?
He is
Yeah,
intuitive.
I mean, I'm not as developed. She's not developed like she is.
But
He-
you have it in there. I
I
mean,
recognize
obviously.
it when it happens.
No,
It-
he's intuitive when it comes to work and receiving like downloads about
What we
like
need
the
to
next
do.
best thing, like a project that he should work on. He's like,
That's kind of my thing. That's kind of like what I'm good at.
And have you always had that? Do you think?
Yeah.
I do. I think so too. I feel like
Always
people
what I
are.
was interested in. I was always very interested in this.
That's so good. I love this.
Yeah.
It's been 12 years.
yeah,
Wow. Do you see Karen?
I do.
Who more?
The Rav. Because I had more of a connection.
So were you Hebra?
No,
No.
I used to work there. And even when like me in this world of intuitive, I was so embarrassed about it because I had this like idea that people who are intuitive were like a little bit out there. And I'm like, but I'm so grounded.
Because I'm such a Capricorn.
Yes.
But
So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want to tell anybody when I first.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so embarrassed.
Do you tell your family? Now
Oh yeah, I told them. Yeah, I told them.
And are they anyone surprised, or was like, yeah, we knew this all along?
yeah. They
Yeah.
were like, yeah, this is so you.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what do you do with that? Now that you know all that, did you say I'm going to make a living doing this, or did it go from I'm figuring out that I'm this to I'm going to do this for my life living, or how'd that go from work to?
Okay, so I knew that what I was doing in my 9 to 5 wasn't really doing it for me. Okay. But while I was working my 9 to 5, I was doing readings early morning, late evenings, and it was really fulfilling every ounce of my soul. Okay. I knew that this is what I came here to do. I struggled with it. I pushed it away many times. But when people just kept coming and coming and coming, I was like, okay, universe, I
win.
surrender at this point. I'm going with this.
You quit the job.
So I quit the job and I started doing it full time. It's like I created space for it.
It's so good. So once
Yeah.
you let it in, it's in.
It's in. Yeah. And I know that it's my sole purpose. I know that I came here to do that.
So are you talking to people with intuition about intuition, or are you talking to people with their dead mothers? Like who comes?
No, I mean, I help people get clarity about their own lives and help them unravel blockages that they may have. I also talk to some of their loved ones who have passed on. But that's not really the focus point. I really help people tap into who they really are and connect to their true purpose, to their highest self. And I also help them connect to and hear their inner voice and learn how to access that part of themselves.
So amazing. And do you think you have is there spirituality mixed in that? Is that through Kabbalah? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And how long have you been a student there at Kabbalah?
Since I was 17. Wait, let me let me think here. I don't even know how many years.
40.
Don't want to
something,
tell you
whatever.
my age here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so young.
Right.
Yeah.
And was that a whole family thing? Did your family
Yeah,
come?
whole family thing.
Yeah, I thought so. I
Yeah.
remember. Are they still there?
Yes. Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
Amazing. So if somebody wanted to figure out, how do I start this? I want to know, what's a good little exercise for all of us non-intuitives to figure out, because we want to know.
So the first thing that helped me and the first thing that I learned is how to get my yes and no answers from my guides. It's so simple, because that's the first step. You want to, A, you have to quiet the mind. B, you need to know how you're receiving your information. So I know a lot of us have had intuitive downloads, intuitive hits in our lives, right? So the question is to really understand how you got that. Did you hear it, like me, in my left ear? Do you feel sensation in your body? did the information just drop in? Like, how are you receiving information that you already know that, when you get a vibe about something, where are you feeling it in your body? So that's number one. Then I'll give you a little short exercise of how to start this process. So if you close your eyes and imagine a traffic light in your mind's eye. So do you want to do it now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so take a moment and imagine traffic light, the red light, orange, and green. Okay, so let me know when you see
I got
it.
them.
Okay.
They're there.
All right. So I want you to ask your guides, say, show me a red for no.
Okay.
Okay, are you seeing the red?
Yep.
And ask your guides to show you a green for yes. Okay. So the way I would do it, I would basically ask obvious questions. So, is my name Alicia? Okay. And don't get your brain out of it.
Right.
Okay, because obviously you know the answer.
Right.
But ask your guides to show you the right light. Okay. So you seeing a green light, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay. So now you could start asking other kinds of questions, like obviously other questions that you want answered. And this is a great method in order to get guidance in a really simple way.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Do you know that little thing?
Oh yeah, the pendulum.
Yeah, so I say, show me a solid yes.
Yes.
So I kind of had that in my brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just a simple
That's
simple tool.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are other ways, obviously.
Of course.
But that, for me, is like the most powerful, simple, because we all know what a traffic light looks like.
Right.
And then you could ask your guides to show you anything.
Do you
show
do
me a
that
banana.
regularly? Like, is that your way, or are you done with that?
I'll just see it. I can see a yes, I see a no, or I'll hear a yes, hear a no, see the word yes, no.
Is it still in your left ear, though? Is that your left ear? That's so amazing.
So that's how I know that it's not my brain.
Right.
Yeah.
God, that's amazing.
I know. It's very cool.
So how does an intuitive, is everything in your life, do you stop and have to make these big decisions? Do you go to your traffic light first? Or do you just say, we're doing whatever? I mean, does everything have to be really thought out, or are you still winging it in life?
I'm still winging it. For example, I talked to you about my daughter, one of my daughter's homeschooling. It didn't really work out for her. But anyways, a year ago, she was going to go into public school. The day that school was starting, she freaked out. And she was like,
Can't do it.
I don't want to be with that teacher. I hate this school. I can't go. But I just knew that she's not the type really for homeschool. So I struggled with it because I'm like, what do I do? Do I just send her to school anyways? Or should I find another option for her? And this could be anybody's issue, right? And I didn't want to get my head or my brain involved.
Right. Especially with your kids.
Yes. So what I did is I wrote down the pros and cons of both. And at that point, I handed it over to the universe. I said, okay, I have no idea what to do now. School started. Do I just send her 3 days late or what? I'm open. I was totally open because I really didn't have the answer. So at this point, I asked for a sign. I said, please show me, just give me a sign because I can't figure it out. And one of my cons, by the way, for homeschool was that I had to get her a desk, and then the desk would have to match the rest of the furniture, and where would I put the desk, and blah, blah, blah.
The little details.
Yeah. Even though it's easy to do, but it was a pain in the butt.
I'm hearing
I
you,
just
totally.
I didn't feel like it. I was like,
ruin the whole flow of our bedroom.
Yes, I was like, this is annoying. Anyways, so I'd let it go. I totally surrendered. I said, I've done my part. I've researched everything. I've made an effort from A to M. Now, the universe can take over M to Z and finish it off. And I remember I was driving home and I see my neighbors moving out, and there are two desks sitting on the front lawn. And so I rolled down the window. I said, what are these desks here for? He said, we have to move out today, and they're the two things that didn't sell. Do you want them? And I was like,
Thank you.
universe. I said, yes. And he brought them in. I was like, and they were beautiful. They were Pottery Barn, brand new, really, like they were beautiful. And so
Oh my
I was like, what? Thank you. So, and that's how I
roll.
That's how I roll. That's how we do everything, actually. All decisions are made like that in
That
in our
is so
household.
lovely. So do you think as an intuitive you have to be connected to the creator, or can we all be intuitives without being connected to the creator?
We can absolutely all be intuitives without being connected to the creator. It's within us. It's
Right.
our own GPS, our
So
inner
it's
GPS.
not a God thing at all.
No. It's connecting us to that part of ourselves that is our higher self, that
Right,
part that's
right.
like tapped into source energy, the all-knowing part of ourselves.
That's so,
So,
good.
yeah.
Have you ever heard of EMDR?
No.
So it's like a tapping thing. It's like an eye
Oh, this
movement.
thing?
Yeah, and it
Yes.
is. And they say that you can, quit smoking and find all kinds of different things with that being, and you don't even have to be a believer, but you have to have somebody else do this for you. And then once you start, and the man explained to me who, that I was talking to, he said, you are like the sun, your true soul is like the sun, and all these little issues are clouds.
Totally.
Right?
That's how I see it.
Right. I felt like that.
When I do sessions, what I love and the thing that like I love the most about what I do is I'm able to see people for who they truly really are, and I love them, not with their baggage and their
Right,
junk that they
right.
bring with them every day and their chaos. Like I see through it. It's like, oh my God, if only you could see yourself.
What I'm seeing.
Yes, and that's why I do what I do, because I want people to see themselves for their beauty, for who they really are, not.
It's such a gift.
Yeah.
And that's like such a being of service. That is amazing, Michelle. Okay, so looking at me, what do you see?
Do, 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 do.
Do you see color around me? Do you see color?
I don't. I see beauty curls.
Okay, thank you. I see those too. That's the mirror, girl.
This is my down to earthness.
Right.
Okay, you want to know what
Yeah,
I really
I do.
see? I see you in the spotlight. I see these podcasts turning into like your own reality show.
Really?
Yes, really.
NBC, did you hear that?
Yes.
No, but is that really? I mean,
No, really.
And that's how you see me? Do you see my face? Do you see?
Oh, you're saying how do I see
Yeah,
you?
how do you see me?
Oh, like technically speaking?
Yeah, I just want to know like the whole picture.
Well, I see in my mind's eye this whole like vision of who you're supposed to be, and I see you like in the spotlight. I see you. It's not like I'm seeing your face. I'm seeing a version of you that you're not even seeing of
Right.
yourself, but I'm seeing it here. I'm seeing it in my mind's eye. Wow. Yeah.
So do you see that about your children? Like, can you figure out what they're going to be when they get older, or is that like that's a weird thing too?
I have an inclination of knowing what's happening with them, but it's harder because they're attached to me. So my
Totally.
ego is attached.
That's
to
what
them.
I'm thinking too. Like,
Yeah.
this is what you're supposed to be, but no.
Yeah, and I will never tell them that you're
Right.
supposed to be this, because I
Right.
know that like a lot of parents like push their kids to become doctors or lawyers or whatever else, and it's not their true soul purpose.
Right,
They didn't come
right.
here to do that, and so they're miserable, even though they might be making like, $400,000 a year.
Right, right.
They're miserable. So I will actually never push my kids in one specific direction. I really want them to like tap into who they are and
It's so
harness those
nice.
gifts. Yeah.
So would you say that to people when you, like if you could say to anybody, like if you follow your intuition, you are going to be 100% on. Is there times that you would say maybe you need to be a little more realistic with this, or no?
No, I actually feel like when you are when you are tapped in to your intuition, you are allowing yourself to be in your flow.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating opportunities. Things just start to move. There's no like stuck energy.
Yeah.
So obviously everything happens in waves. Sometimes we're not as open to hearing what the guides want to tell us.
Right.
Because our mind is too busy, or we're too like our egos are too involved.
Yeah.
Like trying to figure it out, or like, wallowing in somebody's
Pity.
pity. Exactly. So yeah, that's when it gets difficult because you're not able to hear it, but it doesn't mean your intuition's gone away.
Right.
You have it the whole entire time.
That is just so
It's
crazy.
a frequency.
and
It's
good.
like a radio station. You have to tune into the right radio station. If you're not at the right radio station, you're hearing garbled music.
AM radio.
Correct. So the way to tap into that higher frequency, you could do meditation, landscaping, gardening.
So it's
knitting.
focusing.
It's doing something that you could just switch your brain off.
Right.
Something that resonates. Like I'm even though whoops, hit the mic.
I do that
Even
all day.
though I do what I do, I actually don't love to meditate because it actually makes me think about my to-do list. So like
But do you meditate?
not so often. No. Truth is out. Truth is out.
Yeah. Do you hear that, people?
Okay. But I like a long shower. I get my best ideas in the shower. My downloads. Even folding the laundry, as much as I hate it, it's like I'm in a zone. I
It's
get
so
into a
good, though.
zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I
So
do.
you can,
I do.
we can all do like so many little things that we're doing anyways. Go for a long run, swim, whatever.
Are you checking out, or are you just like going somewhere else?
No, you're hiring your frequency. You're getting into a zone that you're able to access that wisdom. You're not checking out. You're just not thinking about,
to-dos.
I've got to take my car for an oil change, or I've got to, yes, you're not thinking about your to-dos.
Right.
And
You just.
all the negative things that are happening in your day.
So would you say, as an intuitive, you don't have a bad day?
Oh, I have bad days.
Can you get yourself out of them easier than you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I know there's always a solution.
Right.
And
I feel like that would be just in itself like a good piece of breathing.
well, I don't have anxiety, because I know it's like, what's
Did you ever?
I used to get nervous about what I didn't know and like, how was I going to solve this or that? Like the school situation. Before I would probably spin in circles like, oh my God, what should I do? I don't know. School started. And then I get stuck on the
Right.
fact that she's missed 3 days of school. Now I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. So that's like my mantra. It is what it is.
Right.
Because you can't change it. You just can learn to navigate around.
That's why I feel like intuitives are so smart.
Is that guy?
Who? The house?
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like it came right off of here. Remember I showed you guys that
Oh,
house?
yeah,
there,
yeah.
He's a big basketball player.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm going back. I feel like intuitives are onto something, really big because they can get themselves to a place and they can get others to that place.
Yes.
But that's not a 24/7 thing. Like
No.
intuitives have days like the rest of us.
Yeah,
Right. Nobody's
totally.
magical. I mean, do you think the Rob had a bad day?
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Different.
when you are tapped into that higher frequency, you're able to navigate these obstacles in a much more in the flow kind of way.
Right. I
You're
mean,
not,
even
like, stuck in it.
spiritually, I can do that, as
Yeah.
not an intuitive, but I know that I can breathe and touch and be like, okay, Alicia, you're sitting right here. Nobody's, running behind you with a hammer.
Yeah, and a lot of us feel like alone, right? Like
Yeah.
when we're navigating life, we feel like we got to figure it out. We're on our own. We don't have support. And if we would just know that our spirit guides are like waiting for us to ask them for help, they want to do everything for it. They want to help navigate. They want to help us get the answers.
That's so good. How do we figure out who our spirit guides are? Who are we talking to?
Maybe we don't need to
That's
figure
what
it
I was
out.
wondering.
No, it's an energy. So a lot of people ask me, like, who are my spirit guides? I don't, I'll tell you right now, I don't see who they are or know their names, but I feel certain energies from them, whether it's a maternal energy, whether it's a fun jester kind of energy. Like, a lot of people are too serious in life. So
Totally.
they have guides that are like making them laugh all day long, to get them a little bit lighter.
So good. So good. So obviously we all know somebody's out there watching our back.
Yes.
Each one of us.
Yes. So we need to know that we're supported
Right.
and trust. So it's like that game of trust. Like, are you
Fall.
Yeah. You're gonna fall and let somebody catch you and just know that
It is really difficult to do that. I have been
Yes.
on a ladder. We went and did like this yoga retreat where they made us like fall off a ladder. I was sick to my stomach, and they did catch me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But it's the same idea.
Right.
It's just knowing that the universe is gonna catch you.
Right. Right.
And that, everything is divine. Everything's happening for a higher purpose, even if it might look crappy in the moment.
Right. It's such a nice thing to hold on to. I mean, even as
Yeah.
a spiritual person, I know that. I trust that 100%. It makes life so much easier. But to be able to be an intuitive that's a little bit ahead of the game or connecting us to our people, So tell me all the things you do, like that you offer.
So I do intuitive readings and coaching. Okay, so I have a coaching program where it's a 3-month program where basically I'm doing readings every 2 weeks and helping people have breakthroughs in their life in whatever area. It could be career, it could be relationships, all the areas,
That we all know
that
about.
we all know about. Exactly. And I also teach people how to connect to their spirit guides, to tap into that inner voice for them to be able to get guidance on their own, like I was able to.
Did somebody help you to do that? No, you got that.
No, I got that.
Right. That's so good.
Yeah.
And so is it like a 3-month period and people go and...
Well, I have intuition workshops, which is like a 3-hour workshop. And I also have private one-on-one intuition course.
Yes, but you're not teaching somebody how to be an intuitive.
No, I'm teaching you how to access your soul's record in order for you to learn how to ask the questions and get the answers from your guides.
That's so good. So is that Akashic? What is that?
The Akashic records.
And
yeah.
what is that?
It is like a virtual iCloud or a Google search for your soul's journey. So you're able to access past, present, future, thoughts, actions, all of it is stored in this cloud, so to speak. And you're able to access it, not to be nosy and find out the future. It's to get guidance on how to unblock certain blockages in your life. So get guidance in all areas.
I mean, who wouldn't want that, right?
It's like a roadmap.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in Kabbalah, we learn about our tikkun. And a tikkun is your correction. So was part of your tikkun connected? Like, have you figured out your tikkun and know how to work it?
I mean, totally. I mean, I know even now, like being on your podcast, it's not easy for me because I'm like a more in the background, shy kind of person, I would say. I mean, I'm shy, but not shy.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
shy
not
as far
shy.
as I'm, yeah. But yeah.
So even doing that, it's part of my, like putting myself out there is part of my growth process. So it's not easy. I've resisted it a lot. Even like putting myself on Instagram, the first post I did, I literally wanted to vomit.
Yeah.
Like, I felt so sick to
You're
myself.
good at it though.
But I'm
Let that
pushing
go.
through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really, really important stuff too, is to get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right. And so where would you see yourself as where does an intuitive go? Isn't it like, what can you see yourself doing? What's your plan here? What's your big old plan?
My big old plan is to help people really. My mission, my goal, because I really got connected to my soul's purpose through this work.
Yeah.
I want to help people get to their purpose and truly shine and be like plugged in. Like I feel on fire when I'm doing my sessions. I'm plugged in. I am so on fire, so tapped in. Things are flowing. I'm like on a high. It's like being on a high, like all the time. That's my dream, is to help people plug in and see who they really are.
And you've had some successes, because I'm sure
Yeah.
people call you and are like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've talked to people who are in very high-powered jobs who are miserable, and they're still out, even though they've reached the top. They're like, I know I'm here to do something else. Can you help me?
Figure
And
that
I
out.
can see it, just like I see with you. Like, I could see it in my mind's eye. I'm like, oh, this is obvious. And a lot of them are like, I've always felt that, but I just...
So are you going to tell the next step, like, this is how I think you should do it? Or you say, you are meant to do this, now go figure it out?
No, I won't. Listen, there's free will, so I'm not telling everyone you have to do this
No,
and
no,
that's
right.
it. But I can guide them. I can tell them all the things that I see for them, and then they have to feel what feels good to them.
Right.
Because I could do what I'm doing and drive for Uber. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
I
do.
could still do what I do, like my mission, and own a coffee shop. I could do anything, really. But obviously those things don't really resonate.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so
Right. I mean, it's so nice to be able to do what you really love to do,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you are in the flow,
yes.
and that's what we're all here for—to be on the
Yeah.
flow,
Yeah.
in the flow.
Like I don't feel like it's my work. I don't
Right.
feel like I'm working at all.
Right. It's so nice.
It's like an extension of me, and that's the thing. I want people to feel that same feeling of like, this is who I am. This is who I am.
Right.
And I'm just
It's soulful. It's just
Yes.
so soulful.
yeah.
I think this is so interesting and so amazing. So, what kind of seeds will you plant for like you and your family, knowing what you know as an intuition? Because your kids are little. I mean, is there a plan for them? Like, would you guys want to stay here? I mean, do you have something that you're thinking, like, if we do this, the kids can get here? Or do you just
No,
say,
I just like live life in the flow. You know, it's like
Because I feel like you might know something different than everybody else, and you might get a jump start, and then
I
it's
do.
like,
I
no.
get intuitive hits, and I'll kind of go in that direction. But I'm always asking how it makes me feel. Does this feel aligned?
Right.
So it's always about being in alignment with, you know, with what the universe wants to give us.
Because I feel like that would be a hard thing to do, you know. You have to go kindergarten, first grade, second grade, no matter
Yeah.
what. You don't just go from here to there, even if you know an answer.
Right.
You still have to go through it all.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. Like, but I don't let anything like keep me in a box. For example, let's say I've signed up my middle daughter to a private school. So most people will get into their logical mind and say, well, now I've signed her up. We're stuck in this contract. And so therefore, that means we're going to be here from September 2024 till June 2025, right? It kind of puts you in that box. But the way that I operate is like, all right, if we need to move and do something else, so be it.
You got the one day at a time mentality.
Yes, because I want to be in the flow.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like tied down just
Right.
because I feel like I have to.
100%.
Yeah.
So I feel like people that are tapped in, tuned in, turned on, are the ones that do figure out. Like there's a bigger picture. Like
Yeah.
you said, even at the beginning, like I know this can't be my purpose.
Right.
We all have that feeling in us, and I think that's just like answer the call.
Right. Right.
Pick up the flippin' phone.
right.
They're
Like,
talking to you out there.
totally. Because they know, intuitively, they know that they're here to do something more than what they're doing.
Right. I feel like we all know when there's a little, you say you did it, and then you're like, I knew I should have listened to myself. I knew I shouldn't have done that. I
Right.
knew I shouldn't have married that guy. It's so good, though. Okay, so if we have to leave on these hummingbirds sitting right over our head,
Isn't that amazing?
leave us with something fabulous to think about as an intuitive or as somebody that wants to help people that don't really have the biggest picture in their brain.
Okay. So I feel like for those of us looking for a purpose and for those of us who know that we're here to do something more, like look at your life and see all the areas that you did something that really made you feel alive, that sparked joy, that you were like, oh my God, I loved it when I did X, and come up with a list of all those things. And once you've come up with that list, like, then write yourself some sort of like statement of like, okay, I came here to do X because it makes me feel like X, you know? So you have kind of this like mission of who you are, like, so that you can really tap into your core essence.
So good.
And then when you have that little statement, which by the way, I did like 15 years ago or more even, when I was feeling miserable and stuck in my job, I really connected to who I am, like as a person. So for me, it was, I loved going for coffees with my friends. Even, it doesn't have to be work related. Why did I love the coffees? Not for the coffee, because I loved helping them through their process. You know, so I wrote a whole list and came up with a statement of who I am. I didn't try to figure out what to do.
Right.
And that's the mistake most of us make. Like, should I be a gardener? Should I be a landscaper?
Right. Well,
Should I
there's
be-
always that now what?
Right. Exactly. And that's the part that you surrendered, let go, and say, universe, you show me what will fit my core essence. Like what fits, what feels aligned, what feels good.
So you need that certainty and trust.
Yes.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful thing. And I feel like anyone who does have that, even if you have to sort of fake it, like I do most of the time, I really do have that certainty and trust. But there's like, you have to push yourself. Like you
Yeah.
said, a little bit further, I need to be on this show or I need to go there because I know it'll better me.
Yeah.
And even if it sounds a little realistic, like, oh, I'm always happy when I'm on vacation, okay, what does that look like? That doesn't mean you don't necessarily have to be like, oh, that's a ridiculous thing to say. Of course you're happy when you're on vacation. No, maybe
Right.
there's something in that.
Right. Well, actually, a lot of people go on vacation are tapping into that part of themselves because their everyday life is
Not
quiet.
even theirs.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like they're not thinking about
Right.
their mundane day to day.
So I feel like it's a little mix of self-love and wanting to have a purpose and saying, I'll do whatever it takes to figure this out.
Right.
And
Just
then
be open. There's
just
like
being open.
a level of openness and knowing that you're going to be taken care of.
Right.
That's really key.
Well, what I want to say too that I think is really open about you too is that you said this about your kid because it's very difficult as a parent to say, I'm going to let this happen. I mean, we all want to I can fix this for you. I can rearrange everything so you're going to be happy, which is the biggest shit talk. So I feel like you really did do that. If you're going to say, I'm going to let it go. I mean, if the desk shows up, then we're supposed to. If the desk doesn't show up, then we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
always, still to this day, at a 30-year-old, I'm thinking, should I?
We even missed 2 weeks of school, which usually in my Capricorn books would be like a definite no-no.
You start counting like 14 days
like,
without.
oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
And but it was such a let go because I was like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. I can't do anything about it right now. I'm just waiting to get my answer. And I did. I got the answer and it flowed.
That is juicy.
Yes,
That is
juicy,
juicy and doable. So I just want to end on that note, just to say anything's possible. If you really want something bad enough, you can go for it. And I do want to say one quick thing because Jason talked about something you're thinking about doing, like in a group setting. Give me a little detail on that.
So it would be like a Zoom call, like a free experience that you can all do. We can do it interactively on how to get your yes and no answers from your guides.
I mean, that's so good
It's
that
like the
maybe
simple
we'll
first
talk about
step.
something to
Yeah.
do something like that.
Yeah.
The simple first steps.
Simple first steps.
I love that. Beautiful. Thank you, Michelle. You're such a
Aw,
good
love you.
girl. Curly girl.
Aw,
Thank you.
thank you.